Are we a go?
Okay, Mr. Chair, we are now live. Please go ahead.
Okay. I will call the meeting to order and ask if there are, approval of the agenda and ask if there are any additions to the agenda. If not, then the agenda will be approved as presented. Any declaration of pecuniary interest from anyone? EJ, Mike? I have none as well. I would like a mover on the approval of minutes from our December 10th meeting. Okay, EJ. All in favor? Show of hands. Fine. We're here to hear an appeal of an order for Judy and Martin Shoemaker. Let me open with a few comments first. I would remind committee members, staff, and the appellants that the Building Code Act of Ontario gives the Property Standards Committee all the powers and functions of the officer who made the order, and the committee may confirm, modify, or rescind the order, or extend the time for complying with the order if, in the committee's opinion, the order is fair and the general intent and purpose of the Building Code Act are maintained. Be advised, if anyone other than the owners or their agent wishes to receive notice of the decision of the Property Standards Committee, or in the event the committee defers its decision respecting the appeal, such person or persons must leave their names and addresses in writing with the township clerk prior to leaving the hearing. The municipality or any owner, occupant, or person affected by the committee's decision may appeal to a judge of the Superior Court of Justice of Ontario by notifying the township clerk in writing and by applying to the Superior Court of Justice within 14 days after a copy of the decision is sent. The hearing will begin with evidence being presented by the officer. Then the appellants or their agent will have the opportunity to speak. The committee will have the opportunity to ask questions of both the officer and the appellants. After all evidence and arguments have been received, the committee may move to deliberate its decision in private. Following deliberations, a verbal decision will be given and a written decision will be sent to the appellant and other interested parties following. Okay, so let's begin with the officer presenting.
My name is Luke Ryan. I'm stepping in today for Tim Lewis, who is the officer who issued the property standards order.
Okay.
So the order discusses section 2.09, the lock rating and drainage section of our property standards bylaw. The complaint came in from the Casemores regarding drainage concerns from the sump outlet pipe. Basically, it's being directed onto their property. So we've asked the Mr. Shoemaker, the Shoemakers, to direct it to an appropriate outlet, being a swale or ditch in the front of the property. So we do have some photos to share with you today to kind of demonstrate that. And I'll just try and share my screen here for you. And can you see my screen there?
I see it.
So that's our chief building official, Tim Lewis, standing at the outlet pipe of the sump pump on the Shoemaker's property, which is being, you can see, directed towards the Casemore property.
Okay, and the purpose of the swale there is to collect water and move it to the street, is that correct?
No, that is not an approved swale there. So I would have the Casemore speak to that in more detail because they have the details on that. There's more ponding there. You can see from the outlet. We have some photos. Apparently this is from prior to that going in. So this is, the Casemores can speak to this photo in a little more detail, but this is basically what it used to look like. This is from the Casemores. It shows where their property line is. It shows the outlet of the sump, and that's the line there. You can see
Oh, I
there's-
see.
Sorry, so whose property is on the right and whose is on the left?
so the right is the Shoemaker property with the sump
Okay.
pump outlet, and the left is the Casemore property with the, pooling there.
Okay.
So, yeah, we're talking about a buried something. That's just the, yeah, okay.
Same kind of image there. And the Casemore provided some photos from the winter time as well. Same kind of issues happening there. You can see the outlet. So that is the photographic evidence provided by the Casemores. So I think at this time I would get the Casemores to speak to the issues that they've been dealing with in this matter.
Yes, hello, can you hear us?
Sure can, yep.
Okay, so with the issues with the pictures, I don't know if Luke can bring them back up. That one that has the tractor in the picture. So I'm just reading some of the complaints they had on their letter. So the Shoemakers are saying they have not made any changes to whereas the water is drained into the surface in question, except moving the drainage pipe from above grade to the dwelling below, which, if you can see, there's a pipe coming out of the house wall there that used to go to the front of the house. So when he put that 3-inch pipe down below, it was never there. It always ran to the front of the house. So I don't know what they're saying about.
And the swale we had, when we put in, we had to get our septic done numerous times, and we had to, we put a laneway in. And when we did that, we paid to have it engineered so that we would ensure that we did not want any water going on anybody else's property. And so we made sure that, that wasn't going to happen. And their solution was to put a swale on our property to still keep everything on our property. Which is what they've done. So anytime we have runoff from our lane or, a heavy rain or whatever, our property drains to the ditch, which is what it's supposed to do. But their sump is eroding the ground. So stagnant water just sits on our property and doesn't really go anywhere because it's just wearing
washing
down.
the dirt away.
It's just washing the dirt away. It does say in their letter, though, that we have 2 sumps at the south end of our property, which we don't have at all. The only pump we have in our yard is in our pump chamber for our new septic. So, yeah.
They just wanted to move the pipe because it's washing the dirt away and I can't plant grass and it's unwanted water that doesn't need to be there. That's all. I just wanted it moved back to where he had it.
Okay,
Is that barricade with the stones and so on, just for our understanding, is that still there?
No,
They just,
they've redone it and put new patio stones all there.
okay,
That's,
yeah, I think we can see that we had 2 pictures.
there might be some other pictures, yeah.
The one with Tim Lewis, I think, shows the patio stones, does it not?
Yeah, probably Tim's picture.
And I think there's also a coming from the roof, isn't it?
Oh, from the, yeah. I don't remember that one.
oh, gotcha, yeah.
New patio. So
Yeah.
it's sitting about, I don't know, anywhere roughly from 10 to 12 inches from the property line and just directly right into the ditch there, that washing it away.
And that ditch doesn't drain to the street?
It does.
But not in all spots. Obviously, it collects there. It's a little bit lower than some
Yes.
other areas.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
it's constantly filling up. When it's wet out, so, 8 months of the year, it's filling up all the time.
Yeah.
Not so much in the summer, but
Luke, can you go back and show the property line?
Sure.
Okay, it's just for me, I just wanted to see where it was. Okay, thank you. Any other comments from the Shoemakers before we, or from you, Chris, before we move on to the appellant, the Shoemakers?
No, I don't think we got anything else. I think I'm good.
Can we hear from the Shoemakers then, please?
Can you hear me?
I can hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can hear you.
Perfect. Now, I haven't had an opportunity to view the pictures as I'm on audio, so I don't know what the pictures show or state. So,
Mr.
so I'm kind of
Shoemaker,
going
if I
blind.
may just interrupt briefly, the photos that the committee is viewing are publicly available on the township website. They form part of the agenda package.
Okay, well, I can't look at them right now. Obviously, I don't have access. We never had an issue with the sump draining where it's drained prior to the changes to the grading on the lot line, which I've raised concerns about from prior to the driveway being put in, knowing that it would direct a lot more water towards our sumps because we're in a wet area, as you all are aware already. That sump in the past has never had a lot of water in it, except for in the spring and after heavy rainfalls. Now that seems to have changed. Not only has the swale been added to the area between the two properties, but also there's been a lot of fill or topsoil and trees planted along the property line towards the back, which is having a negative effect on drainage going to the back of the property, which is causing concerns on our side of the property, being wet all the time, even during the dry part of the summer. So that is another concern to add on top of it, but that's not why we're here today. There really hasn't been a lot of erosion. There's water sitting there, but the amount of water coming from our sump is very insignificant to the amount of water that's being drained, not only from the roof, because they're drained from their roof, also runs into the property line now into the swale, as well as the runoff from the driveways, which is only increased the amount of water that is sitting in that spot. To say that our sump pumping a couple 100 gallons every week has the impact it's having when there's thousands of gallons after every rain running from the eave troughs and from the driveway is a secondary issue, I believe.
Okay. Is that it, Marty?
Yeah, that's all I've got at this point.
Any questions for Mr. Shoemaker? EJ, Mike?
I wonder what it would take to expel the water in a place where it could drain sort of properly in the direction of the ditch, or disperse itself better so that it wasn't pooling. You know, any thoughts on that?
No, I don't think it's my spot to have to worry too much about it. If the swale and the grade would have been left as is, we wouldn't be having the issue. If it would have been dug that the water flowed, it wouldn't be an issue.
I see Chris would like to comment.
Hi, can you hear
Go
me?
ahead. Yes. Go ahead.
So we had an engineer draw up the plans for us to ensure that none of this will be a problem. The water flow, like our property is pretty deep. Back where we planted our cedars, there's no drainage problems back there. It starts up further, the water flow.
They were just planted a month ago, so that has
Yeah.
nothing to do with any drainage.
But also the swale was designed to get rid of water from our property, and it was dug properly by Underwoods, and they had all their permits, etc., to ensure that we were, getting rid of the water from our property to the ditch. I don't think that we should have to take into consideration like our neighbor's sump pump, because that's the problem is that it's
Yes.
eroding the ground and it's now pooling. It's
Pipe
not flowing the way it should.
Was not there over a year ago. He just put it there. It started flowing there for a year now. And as you can see, after a year,
Yeah.
there's a hole digging so far.
So
And there
our,
is more than what he's saying, water coming out.
and our driveway was put in last June, I think, last May or June or
Yeah.
something. So it's been here over a year and the water's been flowing fine with every rain that we've had and whatever. It flows to the ditch like it's supposed to. And the swale is on our property. So if we want to run water to our swale, we
That's
can do that.
We can do that.
But it was designed to accommodate the issues that we were having with the septic and the water and et cetera. So
Okay. So, and your solution, Chris, is to have his water redirected to the street? Is that what I'm understanding?
Yeah, have it rerouted to the front ditch or wherever it used to go a year ago, where that pipe was coming out of the house. That's where it used to go, and he cut that off and stuck it straight out from the house to my ditch. So wherever it used to go, he can hook it back up to that.
Okay. Any further? What I see, Mike, go ahead. Brittany, can you turn Mike on?
Mike, you are muted.
There we are.
Turn it on and it went off again. Where that sump line is coming out of the house is 90 degrees to the house. And you're saying that originally it was, 180 degrees to the house. And now it's, before it was parallel to the house, is that correct?
That's the question directed to Chris. Okay.
Oh, sorry, yes. There's a picture that Luke has there that shows the pipe coming out of the house, goes straight down into the ground. That's where the water used to go for years and years and years. But it was leaking, and so he cut it off and then put it straight out, coming from the house towards our place.
So what you're saying is it used to be drained into a tile system
Yeah,
adjacent to.
somewhere else, yeah. So it's only been draining into our ditch for the last year. And now he's,
What was the reason for, I guess this goes to Shoemakers, what was the reason for putting it out where it is now?
Mr. Shoemaker, you are muted. Please select *6 to unmute yourself.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, so it was freezing up because of the amount of water sitting in that ditch. It was freezing up and it was backing up into my basement.
Which was backing up?
The sump
On the water from the swale or the water from wherever
from the ditch at the road. The problem to precipitate is also that the amount of water that runs into the swale is nowhere contained within their property. At times, with heavy runoff, it does overflow as well. So I can change my sump, but what's going to fix the fact of the water running onto our property from the Casemores property? Because they're saying that the water at the back of the property isn't an issue. It's not an issue to them, but it is an issue to us.
Okay.
Yeah, I guess in my mind, we have to focus this argument to the bylaw in which it was written. And so the bylaw reads that drainage from roofs, driveways, and other surfaces, and the drainage of water from swimming pools shall not be discharged on an entryway, walkway, sidewalk, stair, steps, or adjacent property onto any highway or any such manner that will penetrate or damage a building or structure or property. And so what it is the spirit of that is that you're not going to drain your place onto somebody else's property. It's really what it comes down to. And it looks to me like that swale is almost completely on their property, which is a bit of a challenge, but it also means that winter drainage will be handled mainly by their property. And it looks to me like that drain, being about 6 inches away from the property line, has no choice but to drain right straight onto their property and their swale. So I think when we look at it that way, there could be other issues such as spring drainage of one person's property or another, and nature. But when it comes to this, which is unnatural, this is man-made, it looks to me like you're draining onto their property. So that's just to focus the argument that that's what this particular violation 2.09 was, and that's, you know, that's what Georgian Bluffs is bringing us in to judge on.
Now, Chris, I assume your hand is up for, you don't mean to have it up. Is that correct?
Well, I just wanted to comment about the ditch filling up, which it doesn't fill up that much.
Okay.
That's all I had to say.
Is there picture? Was there picture? Oh, sorry. Was there pictures taken during heavy runoff?
That's Brittany.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm wondering if to better focus our conversations today, rather than, stream down a path that may lead us to further a neighbor dispute. I'm wondering if we can hear from our Deputy CBO regarding next steps as to how to address this order, and if there are potential remedies and what the order seeks to accomplish as to facilitate next steps to be taken by this committee. So through you, Mr. Chair, if I may, Luke, do you have any further comments?
I think the issues were discussed. Essentially, there's a violation for section 2.09, and the remedy would be to direct the runoff from the sump pump to the appropriate ditch in the front. So that would be how to remedy the situation from the order standpoint.
Can you comment, Luke, for me on like when I see the pictures of the swale with water, I don't know where the water's come from, whether it's come from the sump pump next door or off the driveway. But I wonder to what extent there is adequate slope to see drainage to the street.
See if one of those photos would help us out there.
I actually think that this one might. So if you take a look at the direction of the grass, It's clear that the grass has been pushed towards that water. So this particular picture is after the sump pump has expelled some water. And we don't know, we can't speculate as to whether the sump pump never came on, whether the rain would actually go away on its own. It's really hard to say. But certainly the extra volume is not going to help things, right? And that's what the other family claims is the problem. So yeah, but it's pretty clear there, isn't it? Like it's definitely come from the pipe.
I think so.
Okay. Any further questions of the Casemores or the Shoemakers or Luke before we sit back and have a discussion? So I think we should talk about this amongst ourselves, or the committee anyway. So Brittany, if you can move us out of the picture, or
So, Mr. Chair, if I could just have a motion to that effect, that the committee will now recess into closed session to deliberate. We'll just need a mover and a vote.
Sure. I'll be your mover. Michael?
done?
Second.
All in favor? Okay, let's move into private session.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Please just be patient. I will notify you when we are in closed session. Okay, Mr. Chair, we are now live.
Thank you, and I apologize that I somehow screwed up losing the video. We had deliberations, and we've come to a decision, and I'll allow Brittany to read our decision and motion.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and through you, the committee presents the following motion. That the Property Standards Committee hereby upholds the order placed to the owners of 383 Summer Street in its entirety, and that the chief building official will be directed to work collaboratively with the appellants and complainants to resolve the identified drainage issues, and that the terms of said order be satisfied by a date of October 31st, 2021, or as otherwise deemed appropriate by the township chief building official.
Thank you, Brittany. We'll have a formal vote on this. If I can have a mover and a seconder.
I move we be accepted.
Okay. All in favor? And my hand is up. I believe it should show a unanimous approval for that motion.
That is correct. Both Member McComb and Member LeBaire indicated their vote in favor of the motion.
Good. Are there any questions from either the Casemores or Shoemakers? I remind the Shoemakers that this our decision can be appealed within 14 days by going through the clerk of the township.
I do not see any expression of comments, Mr. Chair.
Okay, and seeing no comments and nothing else, I'll accept a motion for adjournment.
I move we adjourn.
Thank you. Second. All in favor? And we are adjourned. Thank you all. I shall hang up, Brittany.